Is it time to declutter your house after the holiday hangover? Interesting story about this in the New York Times. I provided a link to this in the show notes. You may want to check this out. But we no longer have the excuse of, oh, it's busy, it's Thanksgiving, relatives are coming, oh, it's Christmas, it's Hanukkah, it's New Year's Eve party, it's present time. All that is gone. And yet, with a lot of people, our homes are cluttered. We still have boxes around, new toys. The New York Times article gives an example of the person who thought it'd be a great idea to buy a nice big karaoke box for the family, speakers and all of that, but now where do you put it? Many people have hopped on board the whole Marie Kondo decluttering ideas, tidying up. It's very popular, and organizations that receive donations in terms of toys, clothes, shoes are just overflowing. That part is good. Here's the problem. People aren't buying less stuff. They may be giving away more stuff, but they're replacing it right away. And you can give away stuff from your house, old clothes, old shoes, old toys, all the time. Your house will never become any less cluttered if you continue to buy stuff, if you're replacing at the same rate. This New York Times story chronicles several individuals who've downsized, gone from 2 or 3 bedroom apartments to studio apartments, and all the energy and effort and angst involved with figuring out what to throw away, what to give away, what to sell, that paring down process. Now is the perfect time to do it, because you don't have the excuse of, oh, I'll need this for Aunt Mame for Thanksgiving dinner, and I'll need this for the New Year's Eve party. Now's the time to look at your house, your apartment, your dwelling, and really figure out, am I completely comfortable and relaxed with what I see? Or is the clutter overwhelming? Am I embarrassed to have friends, family, my next door neighbor pop in? If the answer is yes, you're embarrassed, we have a problem. It is time to declutter your home. Now, I think Marie Kondo is great, and I've read her books. I've watched her online courses. I do recommend her. Yours truly also has a course on decluttering, and it is, believe it or not, the second most popular best-selling course on decluttering on the #1 online teaching platform in the world, Udemy. I placed a link to that course in the show notes today. But I want to share, I'm not here to sell the course. I want to share with you what I have found personally, the #1 way that helps me declutter my home and my TV studio and my office and my bedroom. And my approach is different from Marie Kondo. Her approach is you basically do it all at once. You go to your bedroom, you pull out every single item of clothing from your closet, throw it on the bed, you hold up each one and say, does this give me joy? Have I used it in the last year? If you can't say yes to both, quickly put it in a pile where you give it away, throw it away, sell it. And it is a great idea, and I do that from time to time. But here's what I've found. It's just too hard for most people to start with that. If your whole den is filled with stuff, if your office has stuff stacked to the ceiling, it's too intimidating to try to put everything in a pile, hold up each item, and throw away stuff you don't need. So I use a slightly different technique. I've used both. I used Marie Kondo's technique to get started, because my house was cluttered a year ago. Not as bad as most people, but there was still more clutter than I was comfortable with. So in the process of creating my own course, helping you and others on decluttering, I came up with a system that I use, and it's the 60-second solution. Every single day in 60 seconds or less, I quickly scour whatever room I'm in, and I look for just one thing to throw away. It could be a paper clip in the wrong place. Now, it doesn't count if it's just a tissue or a piece of mail that came today. It has to be something that's been in the house, and it's not just a piece of mail, and it's not just a napkin that was used from the meal. But I constantly looking around every single day. For like right now, I can see that I have a clip that is bent. This was to hold another old microphone on. I thought I'd gotten this, but I see it right now. I see it's bent, and I can just tell this is just not something I'm going to use in the future. So I'm going to reach under my desk right now and throw it away. And you may be thinking, well, TJ, that's just one tiny thing, and my whole house, my whole office is a mess. But if you do it every day, you will be amazed at how clean your house, your office will get. Maybe it takes a month, maybe it takes 6 months, but a year from now, people are going to be coming over and say, wow, what a nice, clean, decluttered house you have here. It's very relaxing. You will find it more relaxing. Now, I'm not a psychology researcher. I'm not always going to give you the latest data, but I've read enough surveys from enough reputable places to convince me that your brain simply functions more effectively when you're not surrounded by clutter. When I walk into my office in the morning and my desk is completely clean, it is simply more inviting. It's easier to sit down. I do believe that. Are there exceptions? There's the wild, mad scientist who's got clutter everywhere and knows where everything is. Sure, every once in a while, that perhaps works for a few people. Same kind of thing, like, some people work really well at 3, 4 in the morning and are true late night animals. Almost everyone else, 99% of the world, is much more effective in the morning, even though we like to tell ourselves we're late night people. Same thing with clutter. You're fooling yourself most of the time if you tell yourself you're more creative, more productive, surrounded by clutter. Reduce the clutter in your home. Reduce the clutter in your office. You'll feel better. Your brain will be more relaxed. You'll be able to be more creative and more productive. Now, how else do I motivate myself to do this? As those of you who are regulars know, I never just leave it up to myself to do a good habit. I don't trust myself. I'm lazy. It's probably not going to happen. So I do something else. I do 2 things. I record right on my cell phone. And today I don't have to use my cell phone for my audience with TikTok, since you're seeing us through there. By the way, those of you watching on TikTok, do you prefer this way? I'm assuming you prefer where I'm looking right at you rather than you seeing a side shot and seeing things looking a little more professional. But I don't want to assume. You may say, TJ, I much prefer the side view and sort of the behind the scenes look. So this is how I was broadcasting to you before, at a little tripod holding my cell phone, but I don't need that today. In fact, part of my decluttering now will be not to throw away this tripod, but to put it in storage so that it's not, in fact, cluttering up my studio. So the way I build the habit of becoming more organized in my home, in my office, of consistently decluttering, is I have created a simple audio recording. And now I can show it to you, since I'm not broadcasting to TikTok through my cell phone. So this is just a regular iPhone. You go to the utilities, voice memo, and I have a voice memo here that says TJ Selfie Speak Programming. I hit that, and in just about 20 seconds of audio where I tell myself, TJ, you are organized. You keep a neat, organized office, TV studio, and home. Once per day, you spend 60 seconds or less throwing or getting rid of one thing in your house. So it only takes about 20 seconds to say it. I hear that every single day. And I may be doing other things. I may be reading the newspaper. I could be eating breakfast. But I'm hearing this repetition every single day. But you know what? I don't trust myself That alone isn't enough, so I want to hold myself accountable. So every single day, I go to my notes section, and I have two different sections for my own notes of what I want to do. So I have an evening personal development. And in the evening personal development, I have a specific item, and this is just in note. There's no fancy, it's not a fancy app I'm selling. It's nothing you need to buy. It's something that is in basically every single smartphone, whether you use iPhone or anything else. It's just a simple notes function. And in the notes function, I have a simple entry. And in the entry, which I will share with you in a moment, I'm just going to pull up the item right here. It's always harder to find something when you're talking to people and looking at your phone, which is why most of the time it's a rude habit to be trying to have a conversation with someone and looking at your cell phone. So I don't normally recommend that, but I did want to share with you. I try to be as transparent as possible. So I have a simple item here. 60 seconds throwing away or deleting junk. It's a simple item on my cell phone. Sounds silly, sounds trite, but it's effective. It allows me to hold myself accountable. And I have the month, January 2020, and then I just have the date. And since I just threw away one item, I now can put 24 for today's date. And then when I complete it, I don't put a yes anymore. I put a W for win. And I give myself just a little hand pump of yes, I did it. That's courtesy of B.J. Fogg, the great and brilliant researcher out of Stanford, who's an expert on memory and, on habits, and whose book we talked about last week. So that's what I do every single day. I listen to the audio, 20 seconds, telling myself I'm going to keep a decluttered house. And then I hold myself accountable and I put a checklist to make sure I actually did it. And when you combine those two things, the house, the office, the studio is amazingly decluttered. Is it perfect? No, I don't aspire to make it perfect, but realize, okay, we're going into the end of January, but do things on your own timing. For example, in my family, my wife didn't grow up in a culture that had Christmas trees. She grew up in China, and so she likes Christmas trees. So we keep our Christmas tree up the whole month of January. It's still up. It's festive looking, it's pretty looking, and so it doesn't bother us. But if you're someone who grew up like I did, when I grew up, we took our Christmas tree down on New Year's Day. So if it's the week after New Year's, it would create anxiety in the household. Don't do that. You've got to do what works for you. But if you're having trouble at all getting started working, if you find you're procrastinating anything else, sometimes it's just this clutter around us. I know that I'm so much more effective if I can just sit down at my desk, clean desk, nothing to focus on but the task at hand. And that's why I think it's time to get on with your decluttering, clean up your house, office, and have just the stuff you need and that you want to look at every day.